Happy Wine Wednesday, guys! You know what that means. I'm coming at you with a new wine review. And I had so much fun last week doing this on YouTube that I'm just going to do it again. And I hope you like this platform. And if you want to see some super cute chicken photos that go along with this, head over to my Instagram at chickens.and.wine. Boom! Booyah! Okay, so this week we're going to go over this wine. It's called Brady. It's from the Columbia Valley. Red blends such as this are always like a crapshoot. You never know what you're gonna get. They're kind of mysterious. They're kind of sexy. They're always up for a good time, but you just don't know if you're going to just end up regretting the whole thing at the end of it. Kind of like this guy named Brady that I used to hang out with when I was up at college. Totally full of regret now. Anyways, I'm not going to hold the name of this wine against it because I always like a good wine. And just because one wine goes wrong doesn't mean another will. So let's get started for this week. I already poured me a little bit in this glass and now I'm going to show it to you guys. So this wine has a very dark red, which makes me very nervous. Before I started this wine game, and by game, I mean just like trying a crap ton of wines. I was very, very anti-red wine because I had a very bad experience with Yellowtail Merlot in college. I think it was like one of the first reds I've ever tried. And sorry, Yellowtail, that Merlot to me tastes like I'm licking an ashtray. And it gave me like the worst headache of my life and I didn't even drink the whole bottle. For years, I steered clear of red wines, but then I joined this wine club and I was like, I'm just going to do one red and one white in the shipment and see what happens, because if I hate it, I can send it back and they'll send something else to me. Magical. Here we are. What is it? Like, I think 9 months later, and now I actually really love red wines and I prefer them over whites most time, especially this time of year. Now, with how dark this one is, it does kind of intimidate me because it looks like it's going to punch me in the face. And when I say that, I mean the darker the wine is, typically the more dry it's going to be. I'm still getting used to super dry red wines. This one I believe is going to be pretty dry based on the fact that I can't see through it. It almost in the camera looks like coffee or something, like a red coffee. But you can do a little swish here to get an idea of the tears or the alcohol content. And the tears do seem pretty thick, pretty fat. So it's probably a decent alcohol ratio. Let's take a look here. It says 14.45%. So this is gonna knock you on your butt, which is fine with me, right? Especially after a long, hard day. Now we're going to go on the sniffy sniff. We're going to stick our nose in the glass and we're going to inhale loudly and obnoxiously to get a sense of what this could potentially taste like. Now, a lot of the wine tasting experience happens to be in the nose or in the smell of the wine. So this is very important, even if you're not tasting, even if you're just popping open a bottle to have a good glass of wine. Test this out, stick your nose in there, and don't be afraid to say like the wrong thing about what it smells like, because sometimes it'll bring up a memory. And I've had a wine smell like chocolate covered raisins to me before, and maybe somebody else wouldn't get that, but that's really fine because it's your experience. So let's sniffy sniff. So I get a lot of like darker fruits, like cherries, like dark cherries, maybe some blackberry in there. Like a hint of pepper. I feel like this is gonna punch me in the face when I drink it. It does smell very dry to me. It smells like there's some Merlot in this blend. But yeah, I'm getting like dark fruits, a little bit of pepper, maybe some tobacco-y smell. Not like that ash. That might go back to that like ashtray thing I was talking about. But okay, here comes the moment of truth. We're gonna do the initial taste. Wines that make you go, So it is kind of like that bad boy back in college where, you take a drink and you're not really sure what you should do next. It's kind of like that, where you know that you probably shouldn't have a couple drinks more because it's probably going to give you a headache because it's really dry. This is definitely a one glasser. So proceed with caution because the alcohol content is so high in this. I do think this would be very, very good on the initial taste with a medium rare steak. Maybe even a cheeseburger if you're a little less classy, kind of like me. I'm on a cheeseburger budget. But yeah, it's not bad, but it's kind of complex in that I can't nail down a lot of the elements. It is very much what I smelled is what the taste is. So now this one I'm going to do a chew and a swish just to kind of get more of the texture of the wine. And I'm sure it's going to dry out my whole mouth when I swish it, but we'll see. Whew. Word to the wise, do not swish this one. Whew. That did some crazy stuff in my mouth. Okay. I like dried it out. There is a tartness that I did not sense on the initial drink there, which is very interesting. It might be some of that cherry coming out. It did feel like I was being punched in the mouth by a bunch of cherries. So it wasn't like a totally awful feeling. I was not expecting it. I was expecting it to be a more drying feeling. This wine is very thick. It almost is like chewy. I think this is a great one, honestly, for the holidays, especially if you're dealing with some family members you're not too excited to be dealing with. I'm not going to chug this whole thing. I had to pour a decent amount for you guys so you could be able to see that I could not see through this. But I like to do a big drink at the end to get an idea if this is going to be a winner for a long, hard day. So here we go. It's not exactly refreshing. I don't recommend taking a big drink. This is definitely a sipper because it does have a drying effect. If you're a big fan of bold, red, dry wines, then go for it. You're going to love this. If you're a beginner with red wine, I do not recommend this blend personally. All right, this one is my favorite red blend that I have found so far. I know I'm deviating from the one that I was just reviewing, but if you're interested in trying a red blend that is easily accessible to you, because I don't know how you would get that one, because you do have to be a part of the wine club to get a lot of these wines. This one you can find at Walmart. Last time I looked, it was under $10. The crazy thing is I was at a restaurant and ordered a glass of this, and it was like $8 a glass. The markup on wines at restaurants is ridiculous. So keep that in mind when you're at the restaurant and you're ordering. It's a Wicked Red Blend limited edition by Hobnob. They said a limited edition, but I've been drinking this for a couple months now. It's so good. It's a little more tame on the blend side. The thing with blends is that you never know what you're gonna get. Unless it states it clearly on the bottle what it's a blend of. But unless you have a good understanding of the region it came from, how it was made, you never really know how it's going to taste. So blends are always a fun little adventure. If you're okay with being a little disappointed or pleasantly surprised, those are definitely fun to try out. Whenever I'm at a winery doing a tasting, if they have any kind of house blend, I do try it because the house blend is generally something that they take pride in. So at a restaurant, you can always ask what's in the blend. They can tell you a little bit about the blend. Maybe they'll bring you a little bit out, but never turn your nose up to a house blend because you think it's going to be bad because usually it's cheaper one on the menu. But to be honest with you, the second cheapest one on the menu is a lot of times even cheaper than the cheapest one because they know how your brain's going to work and that you don't want to look like the cheapskate that bought the cheapest bottle of wine on the menu. So you bought the second cheapest wine on the menu and it's actually cheaper than the cheapest. So I hope you could keep track of what I just said. But basically there is no shame in ordering the cheap wine on the menu because it's usually pretty darn good. So that's the little tip about blends. Be adventurous if you're going to try them. Hopefully you're not full of regret after you try them. Drink with caution. And while you guys are enjoying the holiday season, please be very, very careful and responsible while you're drinking. No driving, please. As I like to encourage people to get adventurous with their wine drinking, I do want you to remember to be safe and be responsible. So thanks for tuning in for another week. I hope you appreciated my Mickey Mouse shirt for the holiday season, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye!